everyone. I just want to do a really quick webinar that's going to really help you with getting new team members started, or whether it's you that's getting started, or whether you've recruited your first team member, or whether you just want a little bit of a reminder of some kind of tips and tricks that are going to help your team get off to the best start that they possibly can. Now, I think it's important to remember two things at this point. One is you need to be excited. Now, I've been doing this for 2 years and I still get really, really excited about my first, about selling a Clean 9, or about trying new products, or about if I recommend something to someone and they get really amazing results. That excitement is still there as much as it was when I first joined 2 years ago. The other really, really important thing is about making people feel comfortable. If people feel comfortable, they're much more likely to continue doing what we do. This business, we haven't done GCSEs in network marketing. It's a little bit alien to a lot of us. We sometimes have to do things that perhaps do make us feel a little bit uncomfortable, but we need to get used to feeling a little bit uncomfortable so that becomes comfortable. And we need team members, we need everyone to know that, we are all in this together. We've all got each other's backs and we all help each other to succeed. So this webinar really is just about giving you some tracks for your team or for yourself to run on. So getting a new team member started. Now, we're really, really lucky in the UAE because we've actually just got an online link that we can send people, and all they need is your distributor number, and they just add their name and their email address, and that's them signed up. Now, what they have to do after that is they can either physically go into one of the product centres and they can pick up their business in the box or their minimum order, however they're going to get started, or they can order it to be delivered to their house online. So as soon as all that's happened, what I always tend to do is I actually email Ron at the office and I just say, please activate my new team member globally, and please send them the link for their FLP distributor login account. That way they're all set up, ready to go with that. And I'll also send the new team member the pre-planning video that's on PowerPod by Natalie Healy, so they can hopefully watch that before we get together to do a planning. Then what I also do, now some people are really savvy on social media and they don't feel overwhelmed by Facebook and all the different groups that you can be added onto, but it's really important to kind of understand that everyone's different. So generally, as a rule of the thumb, I would add my new team members to my team page, which is Sunshine page, and to Synergy, which is my upline in the UK, Sam's team page. And whenever I add people, I'll always do a welcome post so people can say hi, and it just helps them to feel part of the team from the very, very beginning. So it's really important to always introduce them in a welcome post. And we've got different managers within the group, so maybe you don't get added to Sunshine page, but you might be added to Dream Team or Harmony or Team Leader or any of the different pages that we've got. And then gradually over time you might get added into all the different groups so that it's not overwhelming for you. So you need to think about your new team member and how they are and how they feel, and if there's someone that's really cool with Facebook, then add them to all the groups, but explain what the groups are so they're not like, what's this? So what I tend to do in the welcome post is I'll say, hi, this is Sam, my upline in the UK's team page. This is a really great place to come to for motivation and ideas. Please welcome so-and-so. And it just kind of gives them a little bit of background on the different pages as well. And then we've got a couple of options open to us. Now, one of them being PowerPod, which is a massive wealth of information. And for some people that's enough, because actually you can almost never get through all the videos on PowerPod. There's so much on there, so much training, and lots of really great videos for getting started. But we've also got QLS, which is a system that was devised by John and Jane Leach, which is also really good. But QLS, to access these training pods, does actually cost £7 a month. So I understand, that's not for everyone, especially in the beginning. But if your upline is on QLS, then they will probably send you the getting started pods. Now, the great thing about these is you can check when your team members watch them. So you know not to kind of send them any more stuff because they've still not watched the pre-planning. So that's a really good thing. And the pre-planning videos are also only about 5 minutes long. So it's not overwhelming. They're just like little nuggets of information and you can kind of absorb it and take it all in. So it is a really good one. But equally, PowerPod is just as good. So we just have to be very careful that we don't overwhelm any new team members and keep touching base with them, to make sure they understand what everything is and how they're feeling. Then the first planning meeting. Now, sometimes, especially in the UAE, it seems impossible to meet people, and 48 hours isn't always realistic. But you could do a Skype or a FaceTime or a phone call. Just make sure you're touching base within, well, less than 48 hours, really, of anyone signing. In that first planning meeting, you need to give them all the information, how to use their foreverliving.com, their distributor logging account, to go through the steps to manage a book, and for them to start thinking about who do you know. Who do you know that the products could really help? Who do you know that might benefit from drinking the drinking gel or using the propolis cream? So it's just kind of opening up your mind to thinking about different people and how our products can help them. So it's always good when people join to get them to start thinking about that from the very beginning. Also, so make sure that they have the steps to manage a book, because that has all the information that you need in there. The next thing, so make sure that you've got the planning meetings booked in. So the first 30, 60 and 90 days are really important. Now I will say the first 90 days are really important, the first 3 months, because if anyone's ever going to leave or drop out or have a wobble, it is generally after 90 days, after 3 months. I think because it's at that stage where they go, right, how can I take this next level? And people perhaps don't always feel brave enough. So it's really important to establish in your original first planning meeting that you find out, okay, so if you have a wobble, how's the best way for me to deal with you? Like, should I give you a bit of space, or do you want me to give you a bit of a kick up the bum and remind you why you're doing this in the first place? So it's really important to establish that and to establish those boundaries with your new team member and what it is that they want. So you kind of get the planning meetings booked in, and then you need to explain to them how they're actually going to start making money, so how they're going to generate those case credits. So important to focus on the activities that they need to do. So you need to help them to invite people to look at the products. So ultimately that's put baskets, that's doing a launch, that's doing a C9 and maybe blogging about your results, and Dear Neighbours letters. It's all these activities that help them to make money, help them produce case credits, and also help them to invite other people to look at the opportunity. So I talked about it then for a second about the product launch. Now these are so good. Everyone gets scared of doing a product launch, but really, I guess the word product launch makes it sound something bigger than it has to be necessarily. You could just have a couple of friends over, 1 or 2 or 3 people, few glasses of wine, get the products spread out, make it all look nice, and just get people to try them, just trying the products on the back of their hands. The reason that product launches are so important is not only will you make sales, so you're making money straight away, but it also gets that excitement and the momentum going, and it helps them showcase to maybe friends or family or people that they're doing something new. And also, it helps them to see and learn about the products, because when you're talking about them, obviously they're going to be picking up all little tidbits of information about the products as well. So it's a real kind of win-win thing to do. I've actually got cards that I use, and I use the cards for a couple of reasons. And one is that I stay on track, so I don't end up babbling about other stuff. And 2 is that it shows other people how easy it is, because even though I do know about the products, I'm just reading bullet points off the back of cards. So someone could be sitting at that product launch thinking, actually, this is really easy, I could do that. They're just reading cards. And it's generally fun, people like doing things like that, especially, here, people are very sociable. They do anything, nice opportunity to meet other people, put a few nibbles on. So it's a really, really good thing to do in the first kind of month of someone joining you. And then it's important to set the pace. So we obviously have to lead by example. So we need to be doing that basic activity, because ultimately what it is, it's about learning the basics, mastering them, and then teaching other people to do the same. So we have to be aware that if we're leading by example, our team members might not want to run with it quite as quickly as we do, and to not feel frustrated by that. People might just want to do this. Some people join just to get discount on the products, and that's fine, because one day the time might be right and they might want to run with it. Or someone might join just because they want to make that extra couple of thousand dirhams a month. So, the team members need to dictate to us the pace of which they want to run with this. So then it's up to them really, that they are putting all the action, doing all the actions that you're telling them about in the planning meetings. Provide them with a 7-day plan. Tell them the types of activity they can be doing to generate money, and then just encourage them. That's all you can do. You can't force someone to do it. You need to make sure the time's right for them. So you've got to become really, really good at reading people. And then to understand their expectations. You need to understand why they're doing it and what they want to achieve, because people have got all sorts of different reasons for doing this business. You know, and also make it clear to them what they're going to gain from attending business presentations, success days, plugging into the weekly training webinars, and attending any team sizzles. You know, I pick up something new every time I listen to one of those weekly webinars. And yeah, that excitement. I'm always buzzing out on a Sunday night after I finish listening to webinars, and that's when I'll then get my diary out and start booking in the activity and the things that I want to do for the rest of the week. And we need to make it individual for different people. So, you know, if you've got someone that's really into sports and fitness, then there's no point talking to them about the makeup range. It's about plugging them into this appropriate kind of training that's going to suit them and their interests. And then it's also about timing. So, you know, if someone tells you they're going on holiday, for example, then there's no point bombarding them with loads of stuff before they go. Make sure it's always appropriate and adjust the pace to suit them. Make sure that the structure that you give them is adaptable, because then that's going to be much more easy for those to duplicate as well. We give them the tracks, and it is up to them how fast they want to run on it. And make sure you keep people engaged, but you don't scare them. So like I say, just be really, really good at reading people and finding out about them and what it is that they want to achieve, so you don't scare them. I mean, some people really like to hear about, you know, this is how much money you're going to make and this is how you can do it. And other people like a bit more of a softly approach. So it's really figuring out different people and the best approaches to use with them. So you need to prepare people for success, not to fail. You know, if I hadn't have done this, I joined 2 years ago, and I've just booked a family holiday to an amazing resort in Sri Lanka, and I'm taking my mum and dad as well for Christmas. Like, that's a real pinch myself moment for me, and I would never have been able to do that if I hadn't have joined Forever and taken up this opportunity. So for me, really, failure is not an option. You know, if you want this, it can work. It's uncapped. You've got to prepare people for what's to come, and prepare people for the word no. I have to say, I don't really get no very often as such, but the reason I don't is because the way I do prospecting is quite authentic, I guess, because I'm generally so excited about it. I don't really say to myself, right, I'm going to go out and prospect, but I will say, right, I'm going to go and meet these people. Like, I've joined a few different groups on Facebook and in the area where I live, things with the children, to be quite honest, but where I'm going to be meeting new people. So I'm not thinking to myself, I'm going to be going out prospecting, but I'm thinking I'm going to go out and make new friends. And when they ask me what I do, I know exactly what I can say, and I am generally so excited about it that they'll pick up on that excitement. But if they decide not to do it as well, I won't feel bad, because in my head I haven't actively gone out and prospected them. So it's all about keeping it authentic, you know, and building friendships. Yes, we are going to get no's, people that aren't going to want to try the products or aren't going to want to join their opportunity. But that's fine. They're not saying no to you. They're just saying no for the timing and no to the opportunity. And also prepare people for negativity. I know, to be honest, before I joined Forever, like 3 years ago, I'd have probably thought, oh, what's this? You know, I'd have been quite closed-minded to it all because I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it was all about. And that's the only reason you will face negativity, because people just don't understand. And then you need to prepare people for coming out of their comfort zone and trying new things, but remember to make them still feel comfortable. Keep calm and prepare for success. So positive results. It's important your team members sees positive results from the start. Now, I've had people join me over the last couple of years that have said, right, I'm really going to kickstart this after the summer. I'm really going to do this next month or next whenever. You know what? It doesn't really work. You need to make sure that they're seeing positive results from the beginning if you want them to stick it out and persevere. Like, get the launches booked in, the put baskets. Recognition, it's so important. So if we're recognising people just for making their first sale, for stepping out the comfort zone, for doing something, you know, thinking outside the box, doing something a bit different, doesn't even matter if that person's not in your team. It could be a cross line, upline, downline, it doesn't matter, but do the recognition, because it makes people feel so, so good. I remember when I joined and I got my first ever recognition post on one of the team pages, I was absolutely buzzing. It's the best feeling in the world, so it's such an important part of what we do. So making people see the positive from the very, very start. And then communication. It's really, really important that people feel they can communicate with you, because that's really what it's all about. Sometimes it's about just listening to people, you know, finding out, learning about people, what makes them tick, being their friend. and making sure that they feel that they can approach you and contact you at any time. Like, I would really hope that my lines of communication are open to people whenever. Like, I always encourage people, message me, it's fine. It doesn't overwhelm me to get hundreds of messages on WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. But for some people, they do have 9-to-5 jobs. They do have really busy lives outside of Forever. And that's fine, but you still need for people to be able to feel they can contact you. And if you're busy, all you do is give them a quick message back if you can, just saying, I'm just with the kids right now, or I'm just at work, or I'm just busy, whatever you're doing, I'll get back to you later. So it makes that person feel valued, it makes them feel that they're not bugging you. And same with customers, if customers ever ask you a question and you don't know the answer, it's absolutely fine just to say to them, not quite sure, let me find out for you and I'll get back to you later. I'm just a little bit busy right now, I will get back to you ASAP. Because people like that and it really makes them feel valued. So make sure your lines of communication are always open so that you can always reassure them and that you are approachable to them. Make sure they've got clear expectations. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, but it is uncapped. You can earn and achieve whatever it is you want to. You need to help them to know what to expect next. It is a roller coaster. We all know it's a roller coaster. There's lots and lots of highs, but occasionally there are the lows, when things don't quite go to plan. And it's just preparing people for that. That's life. This is such a big learning curve. You learn so much about yourself with this as well. And that's brilliant. It's an amazing self-development. And let people know, it's not going to happen overnight. Make the first goal small. Like, let's make sure you earn your money back for your box in the first month. Then let's try and achieve that 1,000 dirhams, then the 2,000 dirhams, and then the 3,000 dirhams. Like, let's set bite-sized goals for people rather than saying, right, we want 20,000 dirhams by 3 months' time, because that's not always going to happen, because that is really going to require hard work, time, and commitment. But I can promise you this: with commitment, if you work if you're persistent and you keep doing small amounts of work on a daily basis, it does pay off. It says here there's going to be obstacles, there's going to be doubters, there'll be mistakes, but with hard work there really are no limits, and it is so, so true. So it needs to be developing people into independent business owners. It's really easy to spoon feed people. Quite often people message me, oh, do you know where this is? And in the beginning I'd say, oh yeah, let me find out for you. Then I'd spend half an hour looking for the information rather than just kind of directing them where they need to go to find that information. When we joined 2 years ago, we had no PowerPod, we had no BPs here, we had none of the tools that we've got now. But we've still built an amazing businesses, because what did we do? We Google searched. Like, I just was like always on the Facebook groups. I was like stalking people, trying to find out the information that we needed. But it's made me more independent now. So we can't build people's businesses for them. We've got to develop people into leaders as well. So, we can ask people to get involved with the business presentations, doing the webinars, and getting involved with the sizzles. As soon as you've got a team member, you're a leader. You can lead by example, and you can create an amazing business. I've got people within my team that have actually got phenomenal businesses, but they really don't want to speak on a webinar. So, I'm fine with that. I know who to push and who not to push, because I know it's a bit of a scary thing, and some people will respond well for doing something like that, but for other people it could put them off. So you've really got to gauge it with your team and understand that everybody's different, and what works for you might not work for them, but give them all the options. So you need to know when to push people out of the comfort zones, and you also need to learn when to say no. So again, developing your team, it's really important to nurture your team members. Like, I've met so many really lovely people from doing Forever. I've reconnected with people from my past. I've met new people, people that I probably would never have met. And it's amazing. And I really genuinely care about those people. I want to see them do well. So a really big part of what we do is the recognition. Utilise the Facebook pages to recognise your team's achievements, because there's no better feeling in the world than getting recognised for doing the job well. Make people feel really, really valued. Everyone is so important. This is a group effort. None of us could have achieved anything on our own. It's all about working together as a team. And we want to create a really positive environment, and we want to be able to motivate people. And I think the best way of doing that is to lead by example, and to lead from the front really, and show people what it is we do. Learn the basics, master the basics, and teach others to do the same. And then it's also very important to get the balance. Now, we can't be too pushy. We've got to really become very good at reading people because it's an individual approach. We've got to be friends. Like I say, we've met some lovely people who are really now my genuine friends. So I'm a nosy person anyway, so I'm fascinated into people's personal lives. So that comes quite naturally to me. And not to put pressure on people about CCs. You know, in the beginning, people aren't really interested in the 4Cs. They're probably not even that interested in doing the 4CCs. They want to know how much money they can make. They want to know how quickly they can get their money back for that business in the box and how quickly they can be able to afford to pay to go and get their nails done without the husband getting a ping on the credit card, or, you know, they can treat their friends, family, whatever, for a nice dinner somewhere. They want to know about that. They don't want to have pressure put on them about what CCs you're on, like what have you done this month. It's about, for them, what they can earn at the end of the day. We need to be professional. We've got to be firm but fair. Really try and see things from other people's point of view. I always try to think, oh, how would I feel if that was me? Like, what would encourage me? What would make me feel better if that was me in that situation? So really put yourself in other people's shoes, and be firm but fair, and to be supportive to people. You know, like how much support we give people is crucial in creating this business, because it is all about a team effort, as I said. And all this is about developing your empathy skills, understanding all the different people that you're going to meet, and knowing that everybody is different and everyone's goals are different and everybody's whys are different. So it's being open-minded to that, and knowing that perhaps because you think of it this way, perhaps that's your why or your goal, that might be completely the opposite for someone that wants to join your team. And then we've got to make it fun. Like, people are going to stick with this if it's fun. Maybe they're in a boring 9 to 5 job that they can't stand. So this needs to be their release. This has to be fun. If ever I get to the point where it's not fun anymore, I take a step back. You know, I'll turn my phone off, or I'll leave my phone at home for really? Never done that. But in theory, I'd leave my phone at home for a couple of hours. You know, it is meant to be fun. It's not meant to be stressful. If you're ever feeling stressed or overwhelmed, then you need to get in touch with your upline, or anyone within the team that you feel that you can talk to, because sometimes things are a lot less, it's a lot easier to share a problem, and someone can kind of help you and make you feel better about it, rather than kind of getting all bottled up and getting stressed about it, because it really has got to be fun. So a dream doesn't become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination and hard work. And I think that's so true. Like, this does take hard work, but really it is the gift that can keep giving. And we can do it by working together as a team. So I hope that's helped. And I'll speak to you all soon.